everybody, thanks for joining us on another Sandia Mountain Natural History Center quick trip. It's kind of become a tradition over the last 3 years to do a thank you to our veterans right around Veterans Day. So I thought a cool way to do that would be to grab the old Humvee that the museum uses to go into the backcountry and get dinosaur bones and head out and film a video using nothing but old military gear. Let's get started. Well, maybe we won't be using the Humvee, but we can still have fun. Let's head out. So you might be curious why the Museum of Natural History and Science would have a Humvee. Well, it's one of those vehicles that's going to be able to get our huge dinosaur bones from some remote places in New Mexico. As a matter of fact, the museum has also even used or gotten help from the New Mexico National Guard and helicopters to actually lift bones out of the desert. So thank you, National Guard. Finally made it. It would have been nice to have the Humvee. So we at the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center have an amazing group of volunteers and employees, and many of those volunteers are veterans. We have veterans that served in the Army, Navy, Air Force. We have one of our veterans that even served in the Army and the Air National Guard. So I like every year around Veterans Day to make some sort of video to show our appreciation to really all of our volunteers and especially those who served. So let's play with some old gear and see what it was like to be maybe a veteran. So we're using a cool knot called a prusik knot. I used to use these a lot in rock climbing, but if you notice, it slides right along the rope real easy, but then doesn't slide as well this way. It binds up. So that's a real nice knot for putting up shelters, because you can kind of do a hitch, one loop through, and then it'll bind up right on there, and it'll bind up when we pull it tight out. So we need a couple tent stakes. Seems like a good time to pull out our U.S. Army issued demo knife. This one is actually from 1971. Just whittle us a couple quick tent stakes. Just like my bed at home. So for our bedding, we're using a little bit of a mix of old and new gear. We got a insulated rubber mat to protect us from the ground. We actually have a World War II wool sleeping bag. Now what's great about wool, you might think, oh, that's crazy and uncomfortable. It's actually fairly soft, but what's great about it is it insulates when it's wet and it's fire resistant, so it won't burn holes in it. And then we're using a modern bivy bag that'll zip us up and keep us out of the elements. Good night. So I never actually served in the military, but I have spent a lot of time on wildland fire crews and out in the woods with other guys, or large groups of guys, and I know that they're mostly fueled by coffee. So we're gonna do a little Cowboy Coffee. So this stove, So this stove is a little temperamental because it's from World War II, but it may not seem like it's working, but these big flames actually are working. What happens is there's a generator in there that has to heat up and will liquefy the gas, and we'll get a good flame here in a minute. Now that we got it just about boil, we're going to use our literally a World War I spoon. And we're going to dump coffee in there. Got to make it strong, right? And then stir that around. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. Oh, that's going to be all gritty, gross coffee. But we got a trick. And that trick is what makes it Cowboy Coffee. So now the trick to Cowboy Coffee is you're gonna take some cold water, pour it in over those grounds. And most of them sink right to the bottom. And then the final step is to burn your lips on this ridiculously hot cup of coffee. It's not the best cup of coffee I've ever had. It's probably not the worst though. Action. So the compass we're using today is a lensatic compass, but there's something cool about this. Let me give you a closer look. The cool thing about these compasses is that they glow in the dark. Now, you might say, well, a lot of things glow in the dark, but a lot of things glow in the dark because they're phosphorescent. This is actually glowing because it's made with tritium. Tritium? Tritium? I'm gonna go with tritium. It is tritium, I just looked it up. So phosphorescent things will stop glowing after an hour or so. This will glow all night. So on this trip we're using an old school military flashlight. One of the cool things about these flashlights is they come with several different lenses. Some of those lenses are really important. When it gets dark later, I'll show you. One of the things we always see in movies are people using red light, especially to read maps, so they maintain their night vision. While it helps slow down the degradation of your night vision, red light will still eventually destroy your night vision. What happens is a chemical in your eye called rhodopsin gets bleached out with white light. So if you have red, it just takes a little bit longer for it to bleach out. But the best way to preserve night vision is to keep all light out of your eyes and let your eyes adjust. While learning about red light, I came across an article on blue light. We just happen to have a blue flashlight as well. Blue light is used for finding blood trails, so hopefully tonight we are not going to see anything come out here. But the other interesting thing I learned was that blue light is also really good for attracting fish. So if you're fishing at night, I guess you can use a blue light to lure the fish in. Well, that concludes our adventure. Thanks for joining. I would not say that using all military gear is like using the latest and greatest ultralight backpacking gear, but I will say military gear is super durable. It is kind of fun to use and it's inexpensive, so it's a great way to get outdoors. Thanks for joining us, and again, a super special thanks to all of our veterans, especially the veterans associated here with the Sandia Mountain Natural History Center, all of our volunteers and our staff, like our cameraman Toby, who is in the Navy. Go USS Ogden, and we'll catch you on the next one. These are not what I used as my coffee grounds. But it might have added some good flavoring.